Hello and welcome back to Pixel Street Videos. Today, me and Will have the very unfortunate pleasure of talking about episode 7 of the Halo TV series. This episode is titled Inheritance. Um, if you watch the episode, you know why we're not looking forward to talking about it. Um, but also, it was an episode that almost. I don't want to go into spoilers. We'll talk about it in a minute. Episode 6, Will, where did we leave off?
We left off with probably my biggest hot take of the series so far, where Chief and Mackie finally get a glimpse of Halo in a shared vision they have when Chief touches the artifact for a very long time. And that's the big cliffhanger. That was a huge moment in the show. And then it follows up with this episode.
Okay, so very non spoilery, quick
hmm
few minutes to talk about. All right, we're just going to say it. It heavily features Quan, which at the
hmm
last episode we know had either no or very little Quan.
I think she showed up in a brief vision for all of a split second, but that was the only Quan we got out of that episode.
Okay, yeah,
And
so
I feel like that episode, the previous six, was definitely a better episode without her in it. Not. I don't want to say that she is the only bad thing about the show. There are some other things, but she has just alienated me from truly trying to enjoy the show for what it is. Personally.
my. So I did not like Quan. I still kind of don't like her. But the thing is this episode really shows you where they're taking her storyline,
hmm
and it just is very much not a Halo thing.
Yeah.
And that's the issue I have with her as a character. Like I have no issues with like her acting or anything like that. It's just her as a character written into this Halo story is just not well done
It is
coming from a Halo
poorly written.
fan.
Yeah.
It Her storyline is very much a sci-fi character. They're very much trying to make her a sci-fi character in this world to kind of bring more sci-fi fans probably into this show because
hmm
obviously if you're catering a whole show just to Halo fans, let's be honest, it's you're still going to draw them in whether or not you have this character. But having these more sci-fi elements is definitely going to help the show in the long run bring other fans outside of video games.
Yeah.
Um, but whether or not that hurts or helps it, we'll see. I mean, like regardless, they could come out with 4 seasons and they all be Quan, and as long as it has the Halo name on there, we're gonna watch it because we
Yeah.
like Halo that
Well.
much. We're gonna watch it, Will.
Probably.
Maybe not the day it comes out, but you're gonna
No,
watch
we'll wait for the straight to DVD release.
it. um, so yeah, my non-spoiler review in one word is I don't know, one word. I don't want to say bad because it wasn't necessarily bad.
Filler.
Um, let's say 3 words: out of touch.
Out of touch, filler. Um, I'm gonna take this one from Angry Joe. Quan out of 10.
1 out
Um,
of 10.
Quan out of 10.
That's good. I like that. Okay, so going into full spoilers now. This is probably going to be the quickest review yet
Yeah,
because we could probably talk about everything that happens in about 5 minutes.
yeah. I'm not even gonna lie. I was falling asleep watching this episode. There was a point in time where I did one of those jolts where your body is falling it and you just kind of catch yourself and wake up. I was that disinterested in everything going on in this story, in this episode.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
So right out the bat, let's get it out of the way. This
Mhm.
episode was all Quan focused, all
Yep.
of it.
Quan and Soren.
The Quan and Soren, which Soren
Yeah.
is a cool character. I'm into that,
Yeah.
but I just don't like how they're attaching him to only be with Quan, more or
Yeah.
less, within the story. But we could talk about that in a bit. The Master Chief shows up one time, and it's not even really the Master Chief. It's like a spirit
It's
type
kind of a,
thing.
a vision she's having in that tent after taking hallucinogens.
Yeah. So let's go through the rundown of the show. It starts. with Soren back home
Mhm.
somehow. We don't really know
Yeah.
how.
The
He's just
last we
back
saw
home.
him, he was unconscious with a gun to his head.
I
And now he's back home.
well,
Okay, cool. How did he get there?
no, actually, I think they showed Quan driving the golf cart type thing through the desert first, so we know
Yeah,
that she left him. But still, you could tell they cut something out of the show in terms of story or
yeah.
something they might have filmed and it just got cut.
Because the
But I
whole
mean,
plot of them in the desert was getting the 200 miles to the next town to get a ship. And they just completely
yes.
abandoned that, and he's just back home.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like they could have easily fixed it by saying like, his partner, because like he works a lot with like he has a partner in his home world that they're pretty much like rebels more or less, right? They're just fucking
Hmm.
stealing shit and stuff. Um, that they could have solved it by like a just like one line of dialogue, like his partner just being like, "Oh man, yeah, we were so worried about you that we had to come find you," or something
Hmm.
like that. Like
Right?
that would
Yeah,
have
like,
just
hey,
solved it.
we
Like,
just
oh,
picked you up
they
on that
they
backwater planet.
yeah, they knew where he was and they went and got him because they hadn't
Hmm.
heard from him in a while. But they didn't do any of that. It's just like he's back home now. But that's
Yep.
besides the point. We see him back home. There's some tension between him and his partner because his partner's like, yeah, he went off with this girl that we could have like sold for a bunch of money because she's wanted by the UNSC, but instead he took her to try and help her and came back with nothing. And
Yep.
now like we don't get any cut of anything. And then he's basically just like, why are you questioning what I'm doing? Worry about what you're doing, right?
Yep.
Um, so that happens. Can we just get the Soren stuff out of the way, like that whole
Yeah.
part? So then his partner's like, yeah, we got to score UNSC cargo ship. Apparently, there's only one security guard on board. Very hard
Hmm.
to believe that that is a
Right.
possibility. So they go and they loot it, and then Soren drops a forklift of supplies on his partner's foot and says, like, more or less, like, don't ever fucking question what I'm doing.
Right. I'm in
And that
charge, not you. Go to hell.
yeah, and then commands everybody to load his ship up with all this stuff, and that pretty much shows like yeah, everybody in that crew is on Soren's side, not his partner's. I don't even know his partner's name,
Yeah.
but
Just another no-name character that they just decided to throw in. That was it.
yeah,
And then we find
so
out that
so
Quan is, or he finds out that Quan is still alive because the bounty went up on Venture, the one insurrectionist guy on Madrigal. Um, I forget the actor's name, but he tripled the bounty, and that's how they know. Oh, Quan's still alive. Okay.
yeah, so yeah, so he finds out Quan's still alive. So cut to Quan. She is driving through the desert, and then she finds like a settlement, right? Like through some
Hmm.
like dust, like sand dust.
Hmm.
Like she can't see anything, but she can tell somebody's there. So she stops, gets out, yells who's there. Does she get knocked out? I can't remember.
Yes. Knocked out, bag over her head, bringing to a little hidden village of people who are protectors of the planet, I'm guessing. Because
Very
apparently,
much passive type people. Like they're
yeah,
not trying to fight anybody.
yeah.
So yeah, she finds them and like she's scared at first. And then this lady like knows her name, like oh Quan, and then she's like, "How do you know me?" And then the lady just kind of walks away, and Quan follows her.
Hmm.
And then she's like, and then Quan like somehow realizes like, oh, this is where my father was going to talk to people, like when he
Hmm.
would leave the settlement, and then come back. And then she's like, yeah, like I knew your dad, whatever. And then the lady running this settlement, which I don't even know if they named her. I can't remember. If they
I
did, I don't remember it. But she's like, are you sure you're ready to learn like why your dad was coming out here, more or less? She's like, yeah, I'm ready. And they're like, all right, well, we'll see. And then she fucking gives her peyote, right?
basically.
And then Quan is having these visions, and in these visions, she's seeing the Master Chief. Um, and then it becomes very much a scenario where this lady running the settlement keeps telling her to fight the Master Chief, and the Master Chief is
Hmm.
just like more or less killing her every time, right? Just like punching her in the chest and she's going
That was the
flying.
best part of the episode, in
Yeah,
my
it was.
opinion.
And
Multiple
then so
deaths, just single punch, dead. All right, try
yeah,
again.
and then Quan's in a loop where she keeps waking up and then trying to kill him.
Hmm.
She grabs a gun from somebody at one point and shoots him. Also, worth noting, that guy that was in that prison sane asylum thing is there.
Yeah, Rhett, I think it was name, something along those.
Red.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's there too. So he's one with these people, I guess.
Hmm.
I'd assume like that's where he's from. But who knows? Definitely not the show writers. But moving on. So that happens, and then one time, like the chief takes off his helmet, right? And then you could see
Hmm.
it. She could see his face, and then doesn't he like grab her hand or something? I can't
When
remember.
I think the whole point of this vision was that she needs to learn to fight defensively. Every time she was attacking the Master Chief, she would get her ass beat. So she passively like nods to him or something, and then he just like reaches out his hand, picks her up, and that was like her big wake up moment. Like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't just blindly attack people without thinking my strategy through, or something
Yeah,
along those lines. Because the whole point of I think that entire like village thing is to teach her like, hey, we're defending this planet. You need to fight with a defensive mind,
yeah.
and like that's the point
So
of all of that.
yeah, the chief grabs her. He doesn't say a word, right? Because
No.
it's just like a vision type thing. Grabs her hand, and then it's more so like, "Hey, follow me." And then they're walking through the desert. For some reason, the chief felt the need to take his armor off in this
Hmm.
scene, which was weird. For especially
Hmm.
if it's just a vision, like why would he be taking his armor off? Just
Right.
walk with her. And then walks her to more or less this well, where we see like essentially 343 guilty spark, right,
Yeah, just like
floating
a
there,
monitor on Madrigal for some odd reason. So,
and it's talking to somebody at the
okay.
well.
Yeah.
And then the chief walks away, and then the person that's standing at the well next to the monitor, after the monitor flies back into the well, right? Um, and Quan's like asking where the chief's going, and then the person at the well's like, "Don't worry, he'll be back." And obviously, that's foreshadowing to what's going to happen probably in the next episode.
Yeah.
Um, to the chief probably actually coming to Madrigal, if I had to guess.
Hmm.
And then she's like, "Who are you?" And then it like splits. Like she sees flashes of like it's like a ghost more or less, right? She sees
Hmm.
flashes of like all of her family members and like loved ones, like her mom, her dad. Like she sees that it's like all of their spirits kind of combined. And then she's talking to her dad, and her dad pretty much says, you know, we are we are here to protect this planet, right? And we
Hmm.
have to protect the planet because this is a portal. And he doesn't say where the portal's to, but Will, if you had to guess where that portal was to, where would you say it goes to?
I'm gonna say Halo.
Halo. Yeah. They don't say it, but obviously that's where it's going. I hope I'm wrong. I I hope the way they I really hope the way they find Halo is not the Master Chief jumping down a fucking
Yeah.
pipe like in
And
Super Mario Brothers.
oh my god, I didn't even think about that. He just jumps down the well and then lands on Halo.
Yeah. I really hope that's not the only way they get there. Like I
it's
really hope
it will not make sense story wise because
no.
it well in the games and in the books the portals that are left on all the different planets were left over from repopulation of the universe after the halos went off originally 100,000 years ago. They had to repopulate the galaxy to resume life after killing off all the forerunners to kill the flood. So the only portals that should be on any planet should go to the Ark, like we found in Halo 3. Why would they leave portals to the weapons designed to kill the flood? Why would they leave that? It just this show is testing my patience. Oh
Yeah.
my.
And basically Quan's dad tells her, you know, we're here to protect the planet. Like you
Yeah.
got to stop thinking you got to stop worrying about what people are going to do and worry about what they are currently doing in the moment, right? More
Yeah.
or less. Like stop trying to plan ahead. Like you really
Mm.
just need to focus on the now. And then he tells her go back to where it all started. Where did it all start, Will? And that weird like circle fortress
Hmm.
thing. And so she goes back there, and then she hears like a ship or something. She hears somebody and turns around because she thought it was the mafia people coming to get her because they've been
Right.
chasing her this whole time. And we know they're coming because they showed up to the town and interrogated a lady and just killed her for no
Yep.
reason.
Yep.
um, and it was Soren. Soren came because he needs to
Mhm.
collect his bounty, and he's like, "Oh, I told you you owed me money," and she's like, "I'm not going with you." And then conveniently, the mafia people all show up,
Right then.
and
Yep.
yeah, and Quan and Soren sprint into like what looks like a control room of the
Hmm.
town, more or less, like a
The same town that was all shot to hell from the Covenant in the first episode.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, they go in the control room. Quan's like digging through some stuff, and Soren's like, "What the fuck? Like, we gotta fight them." And Quan's like, "No, we'll die." Um, and then Quan pulls out this like ammunition looking box, lunchbox type thing, opens
Hmm.
it, filled with cash, and Soren's like, "Hell yeah,
Oh,
brother!"
okay.
And then Quan's like, "I," and then Quan's like, "I told you I was rich." It's like no, because like 3 episodes, Quan, you literally didn't know how you were gonna pay this man. If
Right.
you knew that, like this is where I
You
had
knew
problems
where
with
the
the
money
writing too.
was. Like, why
Exactly.
have the whole plot line of your family saying, "Yeah, all the money's gone"?
Yeah,
It,
exactly. If you knew where there was money,
it's
why?
just such bad writing.
Yeah, it's bad writing in that sense.
Oh
But
man.
anyway, and then Quan comes up with this plan. I don't know what the huge thing in the town is, but she's like, basically, I'm gonna go do this stuff so that you can shoot it and blow it up,
Mhm.
and it'll kill all of
It's
them, and we'll jump into the safe room.
it looked like one of those orbital elevators, but it looked like an oil pipeline because they were siphoning the fuel out of the planet that was powering the portal. Apparently, I think that's what their explanation was. So they want to use that to be able to lure Venture in and then blow it up and kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, the plan is to do that, and this is another fairly cool part, right, where there's actually some shooting and action going
Yeah.
on. Soren's killing all these people. You could tell that he's like Spartan trained because he
Hmm.
is killing all these people and like
With ease, like just.
sneaking up on people, just shooting them
Hmm.
and stuff. One thing I thought was hilarious, right? Quan goes and does what the stuff she needs to do to set it to blow, and she tells Soren like, just make sure you save one bullet to
Hmm.
shoot the thing, and then Soren is like running towards their meetup point, which is right in front of the door for the safe room that won't get blasted. And he's running there, and of course the main bad mafia guy is like, "Huh, you guys like pretty much like you guys suck," and then he just grabs a pistol and just shoots it, and it just like straight like grazes his neck. It's like, oh, of course, like the boss man's just like the best shot, and he's just been standing there the whole time.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that happens, and then they're at the door, and then Soren doesn't even shoot the thing. Quan actually picks up an assault rifle, Master Chief's assault rifle that he left there,
Hmm.
because it says
The one with the
117 on
really
the
bad
side.
CG drop that happened in that one
Yeah.
episode.
And she shoots it, and it blows, and they jump in the bunker thing, and
The explosion effect from the pipeline going up, that was actually probably my
yeah,
favorite visual effect from that episode.
it was
It was a
cool.
quick one, but it was cool looking.
Um, and then pretty much Quan tells Soren that she's gonna stay there and protect the planet.
Mhm.
Um,
I have the
and
cheesiest wrap up of an episode we've had yet, with the most upbeat, happy ending music that we've seen in this series so far.
yeah, and then so Soren leaves. Quan stays on Madrigal. That's more or less where it ends, right?
That's it. That's it. That's all we got.
So
We had to kill the bad guy. That was the point of that episode.
no, I think the point of the episode was to show that there is a portal there to Halo. I really
Yeah.
hope that's not the way that they get there. But
Same.
like, I have a feeling what's going to happen is the Chief's going to jump in there, and then Halsey and all the UNSC's going to be like, trace his location, and
Hmm.
then they're going to find it that way, and then show up there.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
What we've got, like two more episodes left.
2 more episodes.
All right. Well, I don't want to judge it before it's over, but I feel like we've been given such light-handed story beats in this show that I feel like exactly what you're thinking is gonna happen. Like we're gonna get a portal to Halo on Madrigal, and that's how they find it. And
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, but I think you're right. I think that's where it's gonna go.
I think that's like the major change they've made in terms of the Halo. Like that is the one major thing they're changing, right? Is
Hmm.
that there are just portals to Halo, which
Yeah,
just doesn't exist in the games.
makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I think overall we're all pretty down on this episode. It was a pretty bad one comparatively,
Hmm.
so that's pretty much going to do it for our review. Will the end of the season, at the end of next week's episode, where do you think we are? You think that we're? I'll tell you here. I'll tell you what I think first.
All right.
I don't think we see the fall of Reach. I
No.
think we see the start of the fall of Reach, or the chief goes there, and what's that chick's name? The Covenant chick that
Oh,
they're holding captive,
Mackie.
Mackie. And I think Mackie finds out that he's on Halo, or he brings her with him for some reason because he's starting
Hmm.
to trust her because they were in that vision. And the Covenant also storm Halo, and I think that's where we end with some sort of battle on Halo. But I think that next season is going to be like a huge battle for Halo. Maybe we see like some silent cartographer stuff with the chief next
Yeah.
season. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, that's where I'm thinking it's going to end. What about
I
you?
think you're right. Um, I think I what I would like to see is an attack, a large scale attack from the Covenant on the UNSC in some way, whether it be in space, like maybe they're all coming to Madrigal and there's a huge aerial battle there. Um, I think you're right that we're not going to get the fall of Reach. Um, or maybe like what you said, like maybe they will start the invasion of Reach and it just happens to be going down as the chief jumps into the Mario pipe or however it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
Um, I do feel like we're going to get one more bit of fan service, whether that be a famous line from the games, um, whether it's him winning a fight against the Covenant and Cortana says it's finished, it's over. It's like, no, we're just getting started, or I'm going to finish the fight, or something along. We're gonna get some form of fan service, more than likely in the season finale. But I don't see this going in any remote direction similar to the existing story at all.
I'll tell you what I'm not looking forward to, Will, is the possibility that the next episode is the head mafia guy like crawling out of the rubble. He's still alive somehow, and then the chief showing up there to Quan for whatever reason,
Hmm.
and half the episode being Quan explaining this portal that apparently they don't know where it goes. Right? At least
Hmm.
Quan does. At this point, Quan has no idea where it leads. She just
Yeah.
knows she has to protect it. Um, but half the episode being Quan explaining the portal to the
Hmm.
Master Chief, and the Master
Exposition
Chief
dumps.
helping Quan like kill the mafia more or
Yeah.
less, right? I have a feeling that's going to be like half of next week's episode, and
God, I hope not.
that's not
Maybe
cool.
maybe we'll get lucky and get a Soren thing, and it's just all right. They're there now.
They're there now. Mafia's dead.
Yep.
All right, well, that's going to wrap
Oh,
up our review of episode 7 of the Halo TV series. This episode was titled Inheritance. We will be reviewing episode 8 of the series after it comes out, hopefully. So stay tuned to Pixel Street Videos for more podcasts, reviews, let's plays, whatever we feel like doing. We
yeah.
will see you next time.